much, Joe, for all of that information, and particularly addressing some of the mental barriers and the challenges, as well as the really practical steps about things that we can do. Really appreciate all that info, and really appreciate everyone who's come along tonight. Thank you very much. So I'm Ursula Hogben from Zero Emissions Sydney North. We are a group of local volunteers who wanted to make it as easy as possible to really address some of the significant ways to reduce emissions. I'm just going to go through top 5. And what the slides are based on, and what I can provide to Joe for everyone afterwards, is we've actually done a guide of these solutions and links to local groups and local resources where possible. So I'll give the link to Joe, and everyone can get their own copy of our full guide. I'm just going to go through the top 5 points on the guide tonight. So, like Joe said, what are we starting with here? In Mosman, a significant amount of our emissions are from electricity. Also, 71% of us want Australia to be a world leader on climate. And it's really inspiring and empowering to know there's actually some significant things we can do in our households, as well as the changes that government can help bring, as well as the changes that business can help bring. The Mosman Council's really led the way. They've set a net zero target for Mosman Council for 2040 for our community. And if we all do our bit, we actually can significantly achieve this. As a baseline, an average household in Mosman is producing around 18 tonnes of greenhouse gas a year. And the top 5 things I'm about to go through will more than halve that, and will get you significantly closer to zero emissions. So what could you do? I'm going to go through the top 5 things from this diagram. And as I said, we'll provide you with the full version afterwards. So first of all, this one's really exciting because once you've done it, it's kind of a set and forget solution, is actually moving our superannuation and our banking has a significant impact. So if just 7.7% of Australians' total superannuation moved across to renewables, we'd be funding Australia being 100% renewable energy by 2030, which is incredible. Everyone's personal superannuation balance is different, but the average balance, if it's moved from fossil fuel supporting to renewable energy supporting, we're looking at saving around 12 tonnes of carbon dioxide a year, which is the equivalent of planting about nearly 180 trees, which is just fantastic for a pretty simple solution. Obviously, get your own financial advice, see what's most relevant to you, but many people are finding that the ethical and renewable energy funds are providing really great returns as well. And the Market Forces website and our website that I've linked have got lots of information on that. Second, and this one alone nearly halves your household emissions, is switch to a renewable power company. Their Greenpeace commissioned a green electricity guide a couple of years ago. PowerShop and Diamond Energy were both 5-star rated for providing renewable energy, and they're doing solar, wind, and other sources of renewable energy. But once again, have a look, see what suits you. But the feeling of knowing every time you switch your power point on, you're technically your house is being powered by renewable energy, whether or not you can get rooftop solar. And every time you're paying your electricity bill, you're funding new solar, new wind. It really is a fantastic feeling and a significant way to reduce emissions. Third, if you can, install rooftop solar. And you'll see here, significant emissions reduction as well, because you're actually generating your own power rather than using power from the grid. How much is solar these days? You can get a decent quality system for around $1,000 a kilowatt. So from genuinely around $5,000, you can be getting a good size 5 kilowatt system. So sometimes people think that solar is quite prohibitively expensive and are reasonably pleasantly surprised to find out that amount. Solar will also be paying back your investment within a few years. And from then on, you just get all the upside of lower power bills. And once again, some significant tree planting impact there, depending on the size of your system, maybe the equivalent of anything from about 80 to 160 trees planted a year, which is great. Our fourth tip is switching to a reverse cycle air conditioner, or if you've already got one in your home, using it for your heating and cooling as much as possible. Like Joe and Luani have mentioned, we need to be getting off gas for our heating, and reverse cycle air conditioning is the way to go. You'll be lowering your power bill by nearly 50%. And if you've got solar and you're using solar for your air conditioning, then that's a complete win-win. And our last tip we love because it saves money as well as being incredibly simple, is simply reducing your hot water use by a third. Hot water is one of our major sources of energy use and therefore emissions. And simply things like shorter showers and washing our clothes in cold water significantly reduces our power bills and our emissions. And even something as simple as reducing our hot water can be the equivalent of several tons of CO2 a year and around 45 trees planted a year. Now, our full guide has 15 tips, and they're all ranked in order of CO2 reductions. So you can really make some informed decisions about what you're going to do and why. As I said, we will provide that to Joe to provide to everyone. And then if you're feeling like a bit of inspiration, our guide's also got 3 case studies, all locals. What are they doing? We look at Alex, who's in an apartment locally. Some of his solutions include vegetarian diet, very rarely buying anything new. He particularly likes upcycling furniture. He's composting, he's using public transport. Kate and Paul and their children, they have a very large solar system. They actually audited their house first to reduce their energy use and did things like adding insulation and ceiling fans as well. So they did a lot to reduce their consumption as well as getting solar. And then Chris and Jill, who actually are some of the early founding members of the Mosman Community Gardeners, which is free and welcomes everyone. Some of their solutions include the gardening, they're growing locally, LED lights, and using their bikes rather than a car as much as possible. But it's just a whole range of local solutions, some being very low cost, some being easy, some being more of an investment, depending on what suits you. And last of all, if you'd like to stay in touch, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and we also have a website packed full of ideas. So jump on the website and feel free to download any of our materials. We hope they're really helpful.
You're wonderful.